relax and feel the presence of God in this place within us. We remember for just this moment what this weekend symbolizes. Labor Day weekend symbolizes a lot of things. First, it symbolizes a time for us to recognize our labor and the work we put in our job, in our family life, in all areas of life. And be grateful for those things. It also represents a time of season, one coming to an end, another beginning. And as we relax and recognize this as a part of our life also, then we can allow ourselves to be more that we are intended to be, which is God in expression. Not some of the time, not some of the places, but all times, all places, God in expression. So as we take a few moments in the quiet, we touch that still small voice and listen. You are beautiful. You are awesome. You are set to go. Thank you, God. Amen.
Meditation, everyone. So my message today is titled, Do We Worry or Choose Divine Order? So, the question becomes, do we ever worry? Yeah. I think we all have times when we just, jump on that bus and start worrying about stuff, thinking about stuff, focusing on stuff, and then we just kind of go a little crazy, don't we? And that really is the human condition. But the thing about it is, as a spiritual being, we know we don't have to go there because we know as a spiritual being that everything is in divine order. However, when we're in the middle of that crisis or that chaos or that challenge, and we find ourselves just stressing out and worrying and going to drama zone, it's kind of hard to step back and go, oh, that's right, I'm a spiritual being. Everything's in divine order. It's very difficult to do that, isn't it? Take that breath and just relax. So why does that happen and what can we do to prevent it is what we're going to focus on today in this message and try to kind of iron out some plans or strategies for us so that we can move through life following that law of divine order. But let's start with reminding ourselves of what happens to the human body and our minds when we stress or worry. We can be overeating or undereating. We can have rash, ulcers, hair loss, anxiety, high blood pressure, heart palpitations, panic attacks, increased sugar levels, irritable bowel problems, backaches, headaches, migraines, sleep issues, fatigue, and respiratory problems, all from stressing or worrying about something. Now, who wants to sign up for this today? We do, though, don't we? We jump on that bus real easy and say, oh, yeah, I want to do that. I want to have irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, sign me up. I want to worry and stress about something so I can have migraines. What kind of crazy is that we do that? Why do we sign up for that? Why do we need that in our lives? We don't, though, do we? We don't need it. And so the question becomes, what can we do to stay out of that zone, to stay away from causing all this stuff to happen to us? And why aren't we always in that place where we can stop and take that breath and go, no stress for me today. I'm not signing up for that. I'm not going to worry about one thing today. Well, there are some conditions and reasoning behind all this, and I found this neat article on upliftconnect.com, and they had like 5 things that they say happens to us or about us as human beings that takes us to that place of worry and stress. The first one is, they said, understand that you have a monkey mind. If you notice, this is a little body with a big old head. But they use this terminology meaning that our thoughts jump all over the place, that we have a hard time focusing on a thought long enough to even think about it. So the only time we ever really stop to pause on a thought tends to be the ones we want to worry about. And then we focus in on that thought of worry, and that becomes our stressor, and from there then all these other things start popping up that is physical and mental. So we have to do something about that. The second one is, they say that we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. That when we get in the middle of that chaos and that challenge or the stress level and everything, that we just continue to roll around and get all tangled up in that mess. Instead of just taking a breath and stepping back and saying, whoa, what does this look like on a bigger scale? What is this from this big place? And choose a new perspective. Sometimes we just have to take a sidestep too and just say, oh, that's what's going on. Instead of just staying in the middle of it and getting entangled. The third one is, know that worrying won't help in any way. If you've seen The Lion King, you know that they said, Hakuna Matata. Everybody said it together. Hakuna Matata. See, and that's a Swahili phrase meaning no worries. So if we just plug that into our brain, and every time we start to think about stressing, we can say, Hakuna Matata, right? And just say no worries. Because all we're doing when we start worrying is wasting mental energy. And why do we want to waste it on something like that when we could be focusing in on our spiritual growth, or something that's going to benefit us, or something that's going to feel good, instead of worrying and taking us down that path? We also know that worrying doesn't solve anything, does it? It doesn't solve one thing. When we worry about something, we just stay in the chaos, Grace used to call it, like when the drain went down, she'd call that a junk of slallow pool. So we'd say, you just stay in the junk of slallow pool. You never resolve anything. You're just churning around and around. And when you're in that place, it's hard to actually get yourself out of it, but we can. We can get ourselves out of it, and we can see that we don't have to worry about what is happening. The fourth thing is, this is a big one, you're not in control of everything. How many control freaks in this room? Notice I raised both hands. No, I'm not a control freak anymore. I'm not claiming that for myself. But it is a big one for a lot of people, because the thing is that we think that we have to control things in order to make it, what? Better or perfect or the way we want it. Yeah. And that is wrong thinking. We can also be confused that if we think that we can control it, then everybody else is going to do exactly what we want them to do. Don't we get that in our heads? Well, I'm going to line this all out, and by golly, everybody's going to march down that aisle, and they are going to come up here and just turn right and do what I want them to do. I mean, that's how crazy we can get about it all. But it's not like that, is it? No. And we can really take control of something when we do this. Like we say, okay, yes, I'm gonna let Dee Dee do it. And Dee Dee, you go ahead and take control and everything, and then you sit back and you watch. And pretty soon Dee Dee's not doing it right, or it's not getting done the way you want it to get done. And pretty soon you just jump in and you do it because you know that she's never gonna do it and get it done. How many times have we done that? When she might have been got it all planned, ready to go, and you just haven't seen it implemented. But what we do is we set other people up for failure when we try to control in that way. And what does that do? That causes more worry and stress for us because we're sitting back watching going, why isn't she doing anything? Why isn't she going? Why hasn't she done it? Why do we do that to ourselves? It's all in divine order. We don't have to worry about when or how it's going to get done. And we don't have to control it. Because all that's going to do, cause more worry and stress, right? The fifth one is focus on the present. We don't have to figure it out or know what the next thing is. We kind of get hung up on that one too sometimes, don't we? We want to plan it all out perfectly. Instead of just saying, all I have to do is worry about right now. Right now is all I have to do. I don't have to worry about tomorrow or 3 weeks from now when I go to the doctor. No, all I have to do is right now. Focus on right now. And the thing is, for me, how I learned this lesson is, when the kids were little, not those kids, the parents of those kids. When our kids were little, then we used to go on these vacations. So I always thought, let's get the most out of the vacations, right? I will plan out the vacation. I will research. I will find the restaurants. And we went to Disney. And Grace was 5 years old. And we took our older son and his wife too. So we had this whole entourage of people that we were going to Disney. And somebody told me, you do the fast pass, you go to there, you go, this park's better in that time of day, and blah, blah, blah. So I had it all planned out, like this agenda of what we were going to do every single day, where we were going to eat, made reservations, all this, so we could get the most impact out of that trip. Well, pretty soon I was driving everybody crazy because, it was time to go eat. I had a reservation, we've got to go eat, and we're still on the ride, And I didn't care about the ride because I wanted to go follow the agenda. Finally, I just took a breath and said, this is just crazy. I'm not planning another trip like this again. The next year we went on vacation to the beach, and the only reservation I made was the beach house. And that was probably the best vacation ever because the rest of it was just all organic. I said, I'm not going to plan this all out. We'll find places to eat. If we have to have peanut butter and jelly, who cares? I mean, it's all going to be fine. And everybody had such a great time. And it was just being in the now moment. Not worrying about what's going to happen the next day or how the whole week was going to be while we're on vacation. No, we just took it moment by moment, and it just ended up being really great. In fact, they even went out fishing or going on you went out on a fishing boat or something. And of course, I didn't do that because I get seasick. But it was so much fun because there was all these things that just organically happened. So when we know that we don't have to control it and when we can let go and just let it be and live in the now moment, it changes everything. It takes away that stress and all that craziness, and we flow in divine order. We allow it to be. Now, divine order from the Revealing Word says, order is the first law of the universe. Think about that just for a moment. The first law of the universe is divine order, and yet what do we choose? Stress and worry. When all we have to do is look at the first law of the universe and say, divine order. 2 words, divine order. Indeed, there could be no universe unless its various parts were kept in perfect order. The facts of spirit are of spiritual character, and when understood in the right relation, they are orderly. Everything that happens is of spirit of God, and orderliness is law and is the test of true science. it all falls into place. Everything works together. Everything moves the way it's supposed to move. Now, sometimes when we get in that, we have a hard time recognizing the fact that divine order is in the midst of stuff. But divine order works in everything in our lives when we allow it to be our guiding light. And everything includes prosperity, tithing, love, or finding love, spiritual growth, wisdom, living life, harmony, and all good. I love this picture because it's all this stuff just dropping from the sky. But that's kind of like divine ideas, When we allow those divine ideas to come through, we don't have to think about prosperity or tithing or financial stress or any of that kind of stuff. We don't have to have love, finding love. I used to tell my girlfriends, I'd say, you've got in your mind what you want, this picture, perfect picture idea of a man that you want. Now that you have it in your mind, you need to let go. And when you find somebody that spiritually aligns with you, they will be the perfect person, and they will be better than what you had pictured in your mind. Because when you spiritually align with someone else, you're going to love that person. That's why we love each other here, isn't it? Because we all spiritually align with each other. And we can easily feel love. When you go out in the world and somebody cuts you off in traffic, it's kind of hard to say, oh, they're a spiritual being and I love them. But the truth is what? They are. Yeah. So we have to look beyond sometimes our own stuff. But everything that happens that is good is from Spirit and is in divine order. It's coming to us. So if there's any lack in our lives, it's because we have not allowed divine order to unfold. If we are trying to make something happen, when the universe says, no, I've got something better for you, and we're still trying to force our own agenda, our own control, our own self to get what we want, what's going to happen? You might get it, but guess what? You might miss out on something better. I think we've all been in that place where we had something we really wanted. And when it didn't come about, we were like, oh, I'm so disappointed. You might even have cried. You might have even gotten mad. You might have had all these emotions over not getting what it was you wanted. But then maybe sometime in the future, it might not have happened instantly. It might have happened months down the road. It might have happened the next year. All of a sudden, something comes forth and you think, wow, if I would have gone with that other thing, it wouldn't have been as great as this. Haven't we all had that happen?
Yes.
And you kind of like go, wow, this is so cool. I got this something better. And that's divine order in action. That is divine order unfolding in your life and taking away any idea of lack and proving to you that your highest good is always there waiting for you. And the cool thing about it is we don't have to stress or worry. Whatever is going to come forth is going, if we're in the right frame of mind, if we're spiritually aligned with Spirit, whatever's coming forth is going to be what? Good. Yes, good. And so we know that. And that's where we claim divine order. We say divine order. So then you say, well, okay, Francie, I get what you're saying. I understand, but how do we do that? And you're not going to like the answer. You're not. But we do that by praying. Praying. Well, letting go too, but you can't be in that prayerful place if you are holding on to something. But all we have to do when we're in a stressful situation or if we're worrying or stressed out about something or our health is not right or whatever it is, we just take a breath and we pray. Now the thing is, people say, oh, I prayed and it didn't work. Or I prayed and my gosh, nothing. Just nothing. No results, no nothing. No, not one divine idea came through. Well, it's kind of funny because Charles Fillmore, he spent hours and days in prayer. I mean, he really literally, Myrtle would have to go in there and say, Charles, you've been in meditation long enough. Now it's time to put it into action. Because he would do that. But he would come in and out of meditation and write little notes on on like little slips. Back then they didn't have Post-it notes, but little slips of paper that he cut up, had scraps from the printing. And he would lay them across the desk every time. And that's how a lot of these books were written. Little pieces of paper across like this. And when he'd come out of meditation, he would tell the secretary, okay, you can take that pile. And she would have to take it and then type it into a text form. So the man really studied prayer and really understood what prayer worked. And of course, that's one of the things in Unity that we are founded on is prayer, healing prayer, the power of prayer, how to make prayer work in your life. So in the book text, Dynamics for Living, Charles Fillmore wrote Conditions for True Prayer, and he has 7 steps. And this one you might want to pull out your phone and take a picture of to remind yourself, because I think what happens to us when we pray, sometimes we do that quickie prayer where we're not really totally together. And so we're not really following these 7 steps, and we're not really going deep to bring forth a prayer that is connected to the oneness of God, to bring forth the highest good. So conditions for true prayer. Number 1, God should be recognized as creator. I think most of us do that, don't we? I mean, even if you say, dear God, you're honoring God as creator. Oneness with God should be acknowledged. I like to say, as we turn within to the one presence, one power. I mean, that is aligning with the oneness. Number 3, prayer must be made within the secret place. That prayer is not really what you say out loud. Some people will say to Reverend Warren and I, man, your opening prayers are so good. They have never been written down. They have never been, I've never sat down and said, oh, this is what I'm going to pray when we pray. No, because when you turn within to that one presence, one power, you're in that secret place where whatever words come forth for you are the words that are supposed to be. Chaplains will tell you the same thing. Practitioners will tell you the same thing. If they are in a prayerful place, if they have that Christ within them coming forth, then that prayer is from that secret place within, the Christ within. Number 4, the door must be closed on all thoughts and interests of the outer world. Now that's a hard one for a lot of people because that's where stress and worry jump in. You're starting to say your prayer and you're saying, oh yeah, I got to pray about my kidneys because they're shutting down or whatever. So I'm focusing on the lack, the fact that my kidneys aren't working. Instead of seeing my kidneys whole and perfect and my body regenerating itself and God's energy is in every cell, bringing forth health and wholeness. You have to stay focused on the thoughts and interests that bring about the truth, not what the lack is. You got me?
Yep.
Number 5, the one who prays must believe that he has received it. This is another big one for us because we can worry and stress and say, oh, that prayer felt so good, and then go, but I got to go to the doctor tomorrow and find out what the results are. No, if you truly believe what you have prayed for, then you know it. It's just like anything that you pray for, whether you're praying for the right home, a right relationship, right job. You have to know that and believe that it is there coming forth for you and it is going to be the highest good. And if you believe that, it's going to show up. And I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but every prayer is answered. We know that. Number 6, the kingdom of God must be desired above all things and sought first. It really can't be about the job. It has to be about the idea that I'm going to have the best job in the world that's going to use my talents, that's going to bring forth joy in my heart, that I'm going to feel passionate about, that I'm going to know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, and it can be as easy as running the bush hog and tractor on the property. Believe it or not, if you're standing up there finding joy in running that tractor and bush hog, doing a great job, then you're doing something that brings you passion and lights your fire. It doesn't matter. I find joy in cleaning toilets. Sorry. I mean, I just want to have a clean toilet, So it's like, it's been my thing forever. But above all, you have to know that you are bringing forth the highest good. And when you do that, it doesn't matter what it is you're doing. It changes. You're no longer worrying or stressing. You're allowing the joy to come through. And 7, the mind must let go of every unforgiving thought. This is where letting go comes in, Janelle. That's why I agreed with you about that. But anything that you're holding on to or carrying around or dragging behind you with a big trash bag, full of junk that you have collected in your thoughts, let go of it. Let go of it and let it go. Let it go to the dump, because you sure don't need it anymore. And then you have answered the conditions for true prayer, and your prayers will come forth. And when we think about this for a moment, we can all agree with it, can't we? And if you find yourself not really being able to let go in one area, pull out your phone or pull out that, look it up in the book or whatever, and remind yourself, hey, that's where I wasn't really, I just kept thinking about other things while I was praying. I was thinking about my grocery list while I was praying instead of the door must be closed in all thoughts and interests of the outer world. That's why my prayer didn't really feel like it was being answered or like it's going to be answered. You fail yourself in some of those moments instead of allowing it to come forth. But divine order is kind of like that planted seed. We're not going to go out there and dig it up every day to see if it's growing, right? And that's what we have to do about our prayer too. We're not going to like check on it every day to see if it's coming forth. But we do have to tend to it, we do have to weed it, and we do have to water it, don't we? So the same thing with our prayer. We have to spiritually align and continue to remind ourselves, hey, I prayed this. This is what I believe. This is what I know to be true. This is going to come forth, and divine order is in my life. It's a series of events that happen that aligns perfectly with God. That's all we have to think about. And anytime we get in that drama zone, we just step back and choose a new perspective and realign. That's all we have to do. Excuse me. And how many times have we wanted something by a certain time? How many times have we wanted it to be here and it didn't arrive? But we can let go of that idea too, because that goes back to control. Divine order is responding to every situation or prayer, knowing the highest good is coming forth. So divine order is there whether you claim it or not. But once we open our minds to the idea that divine order is in our lives, it changes our perspective automatically. We don't even have to step back anymore. When we find ourselves in the worry and the stress and the craziness and chaos, the challenge, just take a breath and go, divine order. Ooh. It does something for you. It realigns you and lets you know that it's going to be okay. So I like to think about this as far as divine order goes, is the new campus is one of those things that really does fall under divine order, even though we might not like the progress that has been made. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know when the first time somebody in this church said, it was way before us, of course, years and years ago, because this church has been in this location for 40 years, over 40 years. But I don't know when the first time somebody in the congregation said, hey, we need to build a bigger church. We need to have a bigger place where we could have room for kids, where we could have more activities, where we could do these things. I don't know who it was that said it the first time, and I'm sure that person's probably either long gone or they made the transition, whatever. But the thing about it is, some people have stuck with the program and knew that this was going to come to fruition, and some people have given up and left. And either way, that's okay, but we know that it's coming to fruition, don't we?
Yes.
We see it coming to fruition, and that's what's so, that's what's so great about seeing that driveway happen, because we know that driveway has to be there in order for anything else to open up on that campus. But I see it as such an energy shift, and I know that it hasn't happened as quickly as we all want it to happen, but we all have collected all of these ideas, and I kid you not, Dr. Anna has seen the notebook. It's this thick and bulging forth, and with ideas and stuff that everybody has input in it. It's not just Reverend Warren and I, it's everybody. And those ideas are going to come to fruition, and those ideas are coming forth because The energy of God is moving all of us to a higher understanding of seeing the new campus come to fruition. I truly believe this, and I know that all of you sitting here believe that too. I hope. Yes?
Yes.
Well, when we doubt divine order or anything, we can look at one other person for like a prescription, if you will, which is Myrtle Fillmore. She's so great, and her books are so wonderful. But she put in here a little prescription about health, and we can use it to think about stress and worry. And here it is. She says, we do not, at a time of renewal, overtax the body and its energies, because we need to use the vigorous life of spirit to build up our body temple. When we're stressing, when we're worrying, we're taxing the body and all of its energies, and we are not allowing spirit to build up in our body and bring forth what needs to happen. Let us pour out upon our organism blessings of praise for the good work it is doing in establishing wholeness. We have to give praise to ourselves, give praise to our bodies, give praise to our thoughts and ideas for blessing us in so many ways. Let us think of ourselves as already manifesting perfection in mind, soul, and body, and give thanks that divine order is now established. We should be saying divine order with gratitude from our hearts, that divine order is here to help make everything fall into place in an organic, natural way and bring forth that highest good. It's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing. So if we worry or stress, we just wipe it out with giving thanks for divine order. And if things aren't going right in our lives, we claim what? And affirm divine order. And if this isn't working, we can go back to those conditions for true prayer and look at those 7 steps and say, which one am I missing the mark on? Because it's okay. It's hard sometimes at first to get yourself all totally aligned and know that you are in that place of true prayer. And once we align with all the steps, we can let go and we can stop and pray and believe that the highest good is coming forth. We can stop worrying and choose divine order. Thank you for being here today. God bless you.